Brethren, and welcome to our sermon today. Today I like to talk about God. Who is God? A God is greater than anything in this world. If we can sketch or draw the eye of God. It's too big for somebody to sketch this kind of eye. Because you can draw all the world, and then that world, you're going to draw it inside the eye of God. Are we together? Nothing that can hinder God to see you. Even this building you see, these blocks you see, to the Lord is transparent. Nothing will hinder him to see through. It's just like a mirror. Because this eye of God is too powerful. According to the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 3, God is watching at us everywhere we go. Whether we do good or bad, He's seen us. Are we together? So nothing will hinder God to see you. Whether you are doing good or bad, nothing at all. So the eye of God, on the hands of God, is seen everywhere. These are supernatural eye that can see everywhere, and it can't be in one place. For example, I am here in Kericho. God is seeing me here inside this house. He also seen somebody in America. Are we together? This eye is too big, so he can see very firm, and is a powerful eye, and is a supernatural, and is a spiritual eye. Are we together? So God is seeing everything we are doing. God, read the book of Psalms chapter 139. We're going to find David telling us that God had seen us before we are born. When you read also Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, God can see somebody in his mother's womb. Because his eye is powerful and everything is transparent according to the Lord. He can see through everywhere. And he can see everywhere and everything. Even in the seas, the eye of God can see very clear. Remember Amos chapter 9. When God was liking to contaminate Jerusalem because of what they have done. He told them, even if you go in the deep of the sea, I will go to instruct the sea monsters to take you there and to bring you to my punishment. Are we together? So God can see everywhere. Can see even inside the water. God can see in the top of the mountain, according to that chapter 9 of Amos. Even if you climb in the top of Mount Carmel, I will grab you there. Because nowhere you can hide for the presence of God. Because He's seen everywhere. Are we together? Now let us proceed and take a look according to the Bible and how Bible narrates about the powerful of God. God does not live in any house, but God lives everywhere. Why? Because He likes to monitor everything. And everything in this world belongs to Him. That is why we see David is telling people in chapter 29, verse 14 of First Chronicle, David is saying, who am I and my servant to give God an offering that pleases Him? Anyway, we have given God what belongs to Him. Because everything, included us, we belong to God. The same thing Paul spoken in the book of Acts chapter 17. When you start in verse 23, Paul find people are raising many altars. But he told them, you can't build where God can live, because God is everywhere and everything is His honor. Are we together? And you can't give God anything that can make Him to show, because that mind you have belong to the Lord. What am I trying to emphasize? God is powerful, and God is greater than anybody else. And God is not our hedge that we can talk about it. Are we together? When you rush to the book of Numbers, chapter 23, from verse 9, you're going to find how Balaam described God. And you remember, Balaam was a sorcerer, a witch. But he described God in a powerful way. God is not like a man. Are we together? He can't lie the way we lie. So don't value God the way you value us. The people who can lie like us. The people who can get tired of somebody like us. God is a supernatural. God is powerful. God is righteous. And every day is ready to receive you to his kingdom. Are we together? So when people are stoning Stephen in the book of Acts chapter 7, verse 49, Stephen says that in heaven is the seat of the throne of God. Here on earth is just to lay his hand, his foot. So in earth is too small. So God can see it very clear, even in heaven. The business of God is so great than ours. He can see us everywhere we go, whether we do good or bad. The eye of God is too big, is too great. Nothing will hinder this kind of eye to see through. Even I have stored you this building you see. These stones you see. These stones you see this. For God, these things are transparent. The eye of God can see through and see everything that is happening there. Because of God is powerful. Are we together? When you like to tell people about God, first thing, bear in your mind that God is supernatural being. You can't describe God by using the examples of men, because man can't see where God can see. Man is not a supernatural being, but is a physical and a reality creature than any other. But God is supernatural. God is a spiritual being. That is why you can see many people can describe this God using many terms. Because what portray God and what you can see that God liveth inside you is a character that you portray. That is why, because God is a supernatural, is a spiritual being, according to the book of John chapter 23 and 24, God is a spirit. That is Jesus Christ telling the Samaritan woman. And whoever needs to worship him must worship him in truth and in spirit. Why God searches such people to worship him? Are we together? So, spiritual being can be described by characters. You can say God is love. God is peace, according to Isaiah chapter 9 from verse 6. God is a counselor. God is a wonderful counselor, of course. And God is a prince of peace. God is joy. Are we together? Because these are supernatural beings, and you can describe it in many things. So you can describe God like a human being, because God is so powerful than anybody else in this world. I have told you, you have seen everywhere, you have stepped anywhere. The earth, the big you see the earth, is just to put his feet. Are we together? In heaven, as large as it is, you can't hold him because of how big God is. In heaven, it's just to do what? To place the seat of the throne. And Solomon told us that in heaven, that is according to the book of 1 Kings, chapter 6, verse 18. In heaven is not large that can hold God. Why? Because God is a spiritual and is everywhere. And is seen everywhere people do, according to the book of Proverbs chapter 15, verse 3. Whether they do good or bad, is watching and examining whether they do. So in conclusion is that God is everywhere, is monitoring you. God is holy, according to the book of Leviticus chapter 19 verse 1. He is holy, so you must be holy, because who called you is holy. Are we together? According to the book of Peter also, God is holy. Pastor Peter chapter 1. Are we together? You must be holy, because who calls you is holy. That is why we will go in to portray the character of God. So God is great than any other thing. The high of God is greater than any other thing. The ear of God is great. Is hearing everything. And everything you see, God is the owner of that thing. Remember in the book of Job, let us start in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 16. You're going to see how God sent the evil spirit to torment or to interrupt Saul, because God had rejected Saul as a king of Israel. God instructed even Satan to go somewhere, because he is great and is owner of everything. Let us go to the book of Job, chapter 1 and chapter 2. God, when he was holding a meeting of his men, God held a meeting, but Satan was among those men. God asked Satan, where do you come from? Because this meeting, you are not invited. Satan answered, I'm coming, walking here and there. Because God does not like Satan to attend his meeting, he sent him away. Have you noticed my servant Job? Yes. Nobody is righteous like my servant Job. Satan said, give him and he will reject you. He will deny you if you're going to give me that man. God, because he don't need Satan to attend his meeting, he sent him to Job. Go and don't touch his life, his health, his soul, but torment him or interrupt him the way you like it. Are we together? So Satan and God continue with his meeting. So if God can send Satan to somebody else because of the greatness of God, I can show you how God is great. God is greater than anybody else in this world. Remember the book of Exodus chapter 4. God gave Moses the authority to be God in front of Aaron, and Aaron to be his prophet. But when Moses steward misbehaved in the book of Numbers chapter 20 from verse 8, instead of talking with a rock, he struck a rock. God told him, I don't bother whether I give you a great title to be God in front of Pharaoh and Aaron. You will never ever step in that promised land in Canaan. Why? It's because of greatness of our God. Does not look about your title. The same thing, God was listening even the handy voice of Moses. But when Moses misbehaved, because God is great, and he has many people to send. Yes, we know God has many people to send, because Joshua is there, and many others was there. So God can send anybody else, to replace you. Why? Because God has many people here on the world. Remember Elijah in the book of 1 Kings chapter 18 and 19. He told God, they are chasing me away, and I am the only one prophet who is remaining. God answered him, I have many, 7,000 prophets who will never ever kneel down for the God of Baal. So God has many good people. Don't think you are alone. Many good people God has. And He can send them. And God is great because He can see them wherever they are. And He can send them wherever He likes. Are we together? So the greatness of God is for another dimension. Because He can see everywhere. He can step everywhere. So, and He can give this kind of beauty, this kind of things, the authority to speak on your behalf. Remember how Jesus told His disciples in Mark chapter 16, go all over the world and preach the gospel, the good news to all creatures, included this building. Are we together? Remember also the son of Moses. He said hills, earth, sea, and forest listen to the sound of the Lord. Are we together? Remember how David is saying in 114 Psalms, he liked to ask River Jordan, why you stopping flowing, and it was the time of rain. Because greatness of God can do everything. Remember the children of Israel in Exodus chapter 12. When they reached the Red Sea, God parted the Red Sea. Then they enter. Because God can instruct everything, included water. And they can hear the instruction of God. Because God is great than anybody else. Then in between Israel and Egyptian, God was there. By the sign of darkness, God can live in darkness, in light, and everywhere, because God is the owner of everything. In between the children of Israel and the Egyptian, God was there, standing like a what? Like a darkness. Not allowing the people, the children, the army of Egypt to see the children of Israel. Are we together? And that is why you can see very well in the 2 Chronicles chapter 6, verse 1. Solomon is saying, God, you have chosen to live in cloud and darkness. God can live everywhere. Because everything in this world belongs to Him. He's the author of everything. He's the beginning of everything. He's the one who knows the origin of everything. So He can use it, He can refuse to use it because of greatness of God. It's not every account of everybody. So you can't go and like God, to cheat God. No. You know, everything you do, whether you do it in sunlight or in darkness. Remember in the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 11, when David took Uriah's wife. Chapter 12, God is telling David, you have done it in darkness, but I will going to borrow it in sunlight. Are we together? David he take the Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah. He do whatever he need. But from there, David understand that God is a supernatural and is seen everywhere. And go and read the book of Psalms 139. You're going to bear witness with me. David know God is everywhere. Nowhere you can hide from the presence of the Lord. So, do good. Be good Christian. Don't let people to talk bad about our God. Because Peter told us in the 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 15, you are the one who made evil people to talk, ignorant people to talk evil about God. They can say, if this is what we call salvation, I don't like it at all. So God needs us to silence those people by what we do. Remember, we are the light, according to the Matthew chapter 5 from verse 16. Jesus Christ told us we are the light. So let us our light shine everywhere in order people to see our good deed and glorify our God in the heaven. Our topic today is about how great our God is and who is God. God is supernatural. God is greater than any other person. Nobody who is greater than God. Are we together? Except through Jesus Christ, who is the way to God. Jesus Christ was God with us. So it's the only way that we can take the Lord. John 14 verse 6. Nobody goes to the Father except through me. Also Jesus Christ told us in the John 14:14. Ask everywhere thing in my name, and I will going to ask my Father, and he will going to provide to you. Be blessed. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Tell others about my channel. You are just the best.